Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today I'm very excited to be able to bring you a beta version of a game called Crystal Catacombs by developer Levels or Lives. This is a procedurally generated action RPG and one that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. I actually found out about this one roughly about a year ago or so. Saw a few screenshots, pretty much instantly fell in love, and have been waiting all this time, just really looking forward to finally getting a chance to play this one, and that time has finally come around. So I actually got my hands on this the other night in sort of a rare fashion. I couldn't resist. I had to just play this for like an hour or so. This is not my first impressions, but it's actually, I had to do this for a reason. I went in the first 5 minutes or so expecting to do my usual thing where I was going to just, jump in, try it for a minute, get a little bit acclimated, and then we'll do the video. In this case, I figured if I did that, it would be doing sort of a disservice to the game because there's a good variety of game systems here that need to be explored. And I think to accurately depict the game, I kind of had to put in a little bit more time than that. So there's a lot of references that I could make that would sort of give you a sort of an impression of what I feel that this game has to offer, and some of the games that come to mind when I think of Crystal Catacombs are Tower Climb, Mega Man, Rogue Legacy, Legend of Dungeon, the Castlevania like Symphony of the Night, Aria of Sorrow type series, Chasm, and even Spelunky. All of these games I feel are sort of slightly represented in one form or another in this very, very beautiful pixel sprite art procedurally generated RPG. So I think we should get right into things. This is the kind of art style that you can expect. It's a sort of somewhere between like an 8 and a 16-bit aesthetic, and I think it serves very nicely toward what the developers are going for. It also has an outstanding soundtrack. And I'm going to go to a new game here, but let's check the options real quick just to make sure there's nothing super important here that I forgot to mention. And just resolution modes and the usual stuff for audio. So let's go to new game. We'll erase previous game data, and I'll try to explain to the best of my ability what exactly is it about Crystal Catacombs that makes it so cool. So as you probably saw in that cutscene as we were starting up, we play as a treasure hunter who is in search of this ancient crystal palace that is guarded by this very nefarious intergalactic alien of some kind. This rather evil, ominous sort of floating orb eye, which is like totally the thing that I look for in my evil entities. So we got trapped and imprisoned by it. It found us before we could find it. And it's the thing that it does is it assimilates worlds and it makes them its own, and then it's sort of got them all trapped in this crystal catacombs setup. So you'll see there's the Deep Darkness, the Pit, Ice Fortress, Lost Jungle, and Kiepenstein. Each one of these is a different theme, essentially, sort of like what you would expect from like a different boss in a Mega Man style setup. And as far as I know, we can go to these in any order we choose. I've tried the Deep Darkness, the Ice Fortress, and the Lost Jungle for more than a couple of minutes, and then the Kiepenstein one I found was a little overwhelming for me in terms of difficulty. I'm going to go to Ice Fortress first, and we'll try and get oriented here. I found this one was probably one of the easier ones to get acclimated in. At least I sort of found my legs when I was playing this a little faster here than some of the other places. Plus, I think it has one of the coolest music themes of the ones I've seen so far. So, here we are, the Treasure Seeker himself. We can walk around, we can slash, we can duck and slash, and then that is about all we can do for the very beginning of things. You'll see we've got an inventory or a little HUD up in the top left corner with a sword with a 1 next to it. That's our level on our sword. We've also got an hourglass in the top right corner of that corner. And that's actually our timer. It's not very specific about how much time we have, but, it seems like plenty of time from what I've seen. Then, of course, your usual stuff, health bar, magic, and then under that is XP. There's also a slot for some extra items that we can bind to other buttons, and I'm using a 360 controller in this case, so in case you're wondering, it works pretty well with that. We also have to be on the lookout for a key. That's our main objective here. Basically, we're going to be clearing the map, trying our best not to die, try to find some items, defend ourselves, explore the map, find the key, and then leave. There's 5 levels to each setup of these, the biomes, I guess we could call them, or, adventure maps or whatever. The best definition for you guys. And at the 3rd one, we have to fight a boss, and then at the 5th one, we have to as well. Thus far, I haven't actually had any success with completely clearing out one of the entire maps, but I have made it to the 5th of one of them, and the big question that's in my mind is if I manage to beat the final boss of one of these areas, do I get to keep my character going forward? Because that's a little bit curious to me. I think that would make the rest of it kind of easy, because my experience so far is this game is very difficult, and hopefully that's the thing that you're into. But thus far, I think maybe some balancing might need to be done. There's a few things that you might be able to do, or, you know, of course, get lucky with either particularly easy map, or maybe you find the key right away, get a great item, or, you know, there's a various bunch of different things that can happen to work out in your favor. So we got something here. We got Rex. Summon Rex to aid in battle. Death from above. So if I want to, I can assign this to a button, I believe, and then when I press that, it should summon Rex to battle for us. You'll also notice next to our coins, which are right about in the middle between those three slots there, to the left of that, there's also a heart that's filling up, and that is actually going to contribute towards our ability to gain attribute points into our levels, and there's a few different things we can level into: hit points, attack, MP, and defense. Having tried a little bit in each, I've found the most successful technique for a sword-wielding character, and there's also magic-oriented builds if you'd prefer, although you have to find an item for them. They're not going to be right there for you. But I find putting it into attack seems to be your best option. So there's a little bit of a Spelunky-like quality as you're sort of learning the maps, learning what the enemies do, how to react to them, and thus far I'm doing really poorly, so I'm going to probably die very soon here, which is not the end of the world. That's just kind of how it goes when you're still getting oriented and acclimated to the world ahead of you. There was also, I believe, yeah, you'll see I have 3 lives next to my level indicator there in the corner. And once you run out of those 3 lives, you're actually booted back out to the main menu. Now, I'm not sure if you happen to clear one of the maps. Those are very dangerous. Got to be careful around the angry lady with the bow. But if you happen to lose all your lives and then get kicked out, I don't know if you've cleared one of the maps, if you get to keep that progress or not. But it does basically wipe your character. There is no, like, persistent leveling. As far as I know, you need to do it all in one go, which makes for a pretty challenging situation. And I kind of like the challenge. I think it works pretty well. I really like the enemy designs. I like the fact that you can maneuver around these maps in kind of whatever way you choose, and the fact that they're randomized from a good variety of different styles of tricks and traps and enemies and background tiles. All of that stuff is pretty neat. And I'm always a big fan of games that have livable replay value from stuff like that. And I should show you also, there is a map. If you hit right trigger, there's not a lot of it is exposed just yet, but hopefully by the end of this floor, provided I can live for a little while, we'll see something a little better. And I do get to keep Rex, by the way. The thing that I found on my last life is persistent. It's just after you run out of lives that everything resets. Now, I would love to grab that. That happens to be a magic point. Not going to help me out all that much. And you'll notice also there's a little bar under my sword, and that one is actually allowing... Oh, crap. Wandered right into the way there. It's fine. We're going to do better. Don't worry. But you can actually level up your weapons. There's a whole variety of different items and artifacts that you can use that can actually help with things like that. And if you're wondering what these glowing crystalline blocks might be, these are just, I believe, like stoppers that the templates generate, because these could also have been hallways had they been generated into a different pattern. So the level generation just puts those there to keep you from going into the wrong direction. I was sort of thinking at first maybe if I got the right item I'd be able to break through those or something, but as far as I can tell, the level design is sort of blocked off right after it's first generated. See, what I'm doing here is a terrible idea. What I need to do is avoid fighting characters like that at the beginning, but now I'm going to put a point into attack power, and you'll notice all of a sudden I become a little bit more of a competent fighter, and if we get lucky, killing some of these bats is going to end up giving me a whole bunch of extra HP, and that's going to allow me to live quite a long time longer than beforehand. So there's this like element of what I was thinking is maybe a little bit of imbalance in that once you get a little bit more attack power than default, you're kind of an unstoppable force versus the majority of things you're going to run into aside from maybe the bosses. Provided you do get fairly regular HP drops and can also navigate around some of these enemies' projectiles, which honestly isn't that tough to do. I'm just doing a terrible job of it because you have to be in the right mood to be able to predict the patterns. But if we could take a moment here and just appreciate how lovely this music is combining with the setting, it's giving me kind of almost goosebumps, because it's reminding me a little bit of some of the really great and well fleshed out locales from something like Super Metroid. And I believe there's even some direct shout-outs to Super Metroid. One of the enemies I noticed, specifically in the forest biome, is very, very much like a Super Metroid enemy directly. I'd say it almost an homage to one. If you've noticed, the one perhaps complaint that I have about maneuverability and controls is that things tend to be a little bit kludgy at first. Even though I don't have too much trouble getting around, I think it could also be a little bit more responsive. I feel like a lot of the time there's like a slight delay with how your character controls, and yes, I know that I'm on ice block, so I'm not talking about that. But just in general, the character feels like not the most responsive thing in the world, but things get a lot better once you get a double jump option, which may or may not happen. After you beat one of the bosses, you actually get a choice from 3 different items or abilities that will augment your experience going forward. Now, I can continue to explore this floor in case there might be more treasure. I might end up with something really good that's going to give me a huge advantage, or I could take the chance and just go ahead to the second floor. Since I got the key fairly early, you know, that's my option. In this case, I'm choosing to keep exploring, because the other thing is you get more XP. The more XP you get, the more levels you get. You know, obviously, RPG stuff, nothing too groundbreaking with that. But I really do like all the various game systems that are coming together here to make for something very... Oh, I got a mystery potion, that's exciting. Let's see what that does. Drink me. I'm doing it. Alright, I put that on B. I drank it. I didn't see what changed. Oh, bombs. Bombs are now randomly spawning for me. That's interesting. And that is a very big, angry, almost boss-like character. So that was the equivalent of me getting, almost like the pill from Binding of Isaac that makes me drop bombs. Not sure if that's a shout-out or anything, probably just a coincidence, but... I feel like this game is subtly referential. When you die, you also sort of make, you know, the bolts that explode, like when you do that in, you know, dying in Mega Man. Similar thing. And if you're wondering what those are, just teleporters take you back and forth around the map, which, well, since we do have a timer, is kind of an important thing to take note of. So I think we've just about explored the map now. I might have missed that corner over here, it looks like. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit. Oh no, that's a solid wall. So I guess we're pretty much good to go on this floor. And I don't want to reveal too much, but it seems like a lot of the time the floors are not massively different in terms of, like, progression. They just sort of seem like another variant of any of the other floors from what I can tell so far, and I think roughly about 80% of the stuff that the developer had wanted in the game are implemented or is implemented. So yeah, for the most part, I feel like we're sort of getting a reasonable picture of what might be in the final version of the game. But granted, there's still some room for changes and such too, as things round out towards the final days of development here. And it's astounding how long this thing has been in development. Apparently, it's been nearly 4 years, or maybe over 4 years at this point. And there's a lot of really great attention to detail, so it's not wholly surprising. It's just a lot of dedication went into it, is what I'm trying to say here. All right, and another thing. These enemies are actually something you can use to your advantage. They have sort of an AoE blast attack that if you catch another enemy in the blast of, they can actually start fighting amongst each other, sort of like in Doom. So that's something to keep in mind if you find yourself in a position where you can put 2 things against each other. You definitely want to do so. I feel like I'm dropping jumps occasionally when I try to jump off one of those walls, but it's... The wall jump is not difficult or anything, it's just, you know, if you don't hit it in the right way, sometimes I guess you can just fall off the wall. This is a tricky spot here. I don't have any kind of projectile, and I haven't picked up any other type of sword yet either, so it's really just jump in the way, try and slash away as best as you can, and since we've got that attack up, that's going to make a big difference, I think, for us. So what's going on over here on the left? Looks like a teleporter room. We'll light that up. I love the effect going on in this room, too, around the edges. That rainbowy crystal thing is like, that's pretty much what captured my attention. The art style is just great. I just love it so much. I get really into things like this, and, you know, 8-bitty looking kind of like retro-style games with a bit of like a futuristic or like modern-style twist to them, which I feel this one totally has. You know, modern-style gameplay with retro-style graphics, I feel goes so well together. Which is partially why I thought like Castlevania Aria of Sorrow might have been one of the best in the series. I felt like it had a really nice fusion of those 2 things. So this is our escape room. Haven't found... There's the treasure. I don't know if there's guaranteed to be treasure on every floor, but I generally seem to run into it pretty readily. And now we've got some bombs, which are decent if you are in a position where maybe you need to drop some and walk away. That was a little foolish. I took some silly damage on that one. I'll let these bats fly at us. That's one of the reasons I think this Frost domain is so great, because these bats they really give you that extra little jump up with having the HP that can drop off them pretty regularly. But again, you know, luck also plays into this. I feel like I said this already, but you know, it's just kind of one of the things that runs through my head. I'm going to put my bombs on the Y button, and we'll just continue on. I feel like I should have pretty high chance of success here now that we've got the key. We'll very likely be able to at least get to the boss of the 3rd floor, which should be interesting to see, because I'm not sure I was able to beat it. I can't remember which one it was that I actually did get a little far in. It might have been the ice domain. There was some bosses that were a lot easier than others. I think, was this the one that... I think there was an ape involved. And then the boss of level 5 was the one I couldn't handle. Well, we will see. And I do have another point to put in as well. I'm tempted to just put it also right into attack, because I just think the advantage that gives of being able to kill enemies quickly is way more important than pretty much anything else right now. Let's just take a quick cursory glance at our map before we leave. Looks like we're pretty well good to go. This is a particularly small map, actually. I've had some generate that seem to be about 3 or 4 times larger than that. So it does depend how lucky you get. And also, the fact that there's ice on this level is just kind of the quirk of this one. There's also various traps that happen, like in the forest one. The Kiepenstein is sort of more oriented like a castle with spikes on a lot of the walls, and various torture implements and such that you might see around. I believe the pit one, or the lava-looking one, was more towards, you know, hellish type things. So the themes actually go really well together, and I think makes each one of these sections an interesting challenge to overcome by itself, and I think will take a lot of experiential gameplay to really master each one of these scenarios. Granted that this is in beta, there have been a couple of issues that I've run into, some that were actually fairly game-breaking, but, you know, again, since this is in beta, that stuff's all being worked out right now. With Q&A, I actually fell through the floor a couple of times, and I had a boss that stun-locked me, unfortunately. But, you know, that's, like I said, par for course. Let's see what that was. Fully restores all HP and MP. That's really good. So I will use that in an emergency situation. Also, I have 1 life left, so keep that in mind, too. There doesn't happen to be any fall damage, so we don't have to worry about that. We can fall as far as we like. And we'll just try and look for that key, because that is actually our way out. And perhaps in a bit of a nod to Metroid, when you get the key and open that lock, the door actually starts getting angry at you and shooting what looks to be almost like a hyper beam bolt at you. Well, there's the key. Didn't take all that long. Let's kill some of these bats, and then we'll head back in the other direction. Also hoping that I might run into a shop, because I'd very much like to show you what that looks like. The more enemies we kill here, the better. We're just about to hit another level. And I would love to get some more points, too, but... Oh, no way to guarantee that, really. I think the best way to try and get some points is, you know, just keep whittling down all the enemies you can find, and occasionally you might even run into an artifact that gives you an instant level. I did have that happen the one time. Oh, he took 2 hits. I did not expect that. I also really like this kind of a fog of war effect as you clear out the map. It sort of makes it a little bit more gratifying as you see where you've been and where you still can go. And the fact that you have good control over seeing a map that sort of evolves as you play through it is also really lovely, too. So we'll head up in the other direction. I think there's another couple of rooms up here, just in case there's some more treasure or something. I do still have my bombs ready to go in case that's necessary. Probably not going to run into a real reason to use them. I was kind of hoping a little bit, and this is just my own personal query here, is that I was sort of wondering if maybe there would be something like some destructibility to the landscape, and maybe a little bit more in the order of exploration or being able to go off the beaten path and find some secrets. So far my experiences have said not so much, but you never know. I might just not have keyed in on something that would have actually led me to see something like that. Ooh, treasure. Alright. Okay, well that's MP. That's not actually going to help me at all. I don't have any MP-oriented items. I'm going to guess that there might be options later on that allow you to start with a magic item instead of just the sword, because right now I've never really run into a magic item. I found a rocket launcher, found a couple of other things that were similar to that in terms of like artillery, but not really things that were just sort of magic, and really I don't think so far I've had any use for my MP, which is a little disheartening because I've played probably about 15 runs now. So probably just really bad luck. Oh, totally missed that jump. I find the background here gets a little bit hard to parse where you can stand. I really love the rainbows and everything. They're so cool to me. So we'll go through here and we'll fight a boss, see how this goes. If it's the boss that I think it is, I think we'll be just fine. And yep, it is. Okay, good. I don't know if it's like a random chance of fighting a certain boss each time or what. Oh, I forgot I gotta jump each time that happens. I do have that extra, you know, refill my health thing, and I immediately forgot what I just said. And he also can shoot a wave out. Oh my god, I did it again. Alright, I've gotta pause, fully restore, and then immediately take damage as soon as that's over. So this is like the worst possible example of me. Oh, okay, something bad happened. I think we found a bug. I can't get out of my inventory. Uh-oh. Alright, well, that sucks, but, you know, that'll happen. I think what we'll do then is, instead of beating this boss, we'll just go ahead and launch back to the main menu, and we'll pick one other area to show before we wrap up the video. So I will catch you after the break. Alright, so we are back at the level select menu. We're going to go to the Lost Jungle, because I think that one had a pretty nice demonstration of some of the more interesting and kind of obtuse ways that the level design might try to mess with you a little bit. There's things like quicksand and various sort of spelunky-oriented trigger traps that we might accidentally run into, as well as some very interesting enemies. So far, every single biome that I've been to has had its own fair share of very cool-looking level and enemy designs, actually, both of those. And also, like, non-stop awesome music, too. I can't say enough how much I love the OST for this thing. Okay, this guy you gotta be a little careful of. It's like a gelatin blob with some fossilized remains in it, and it shoots out jelly, and you gotta get out of the way or it's gonna hit you, and that does a bunch of damage. And if you take a bunch of those shots all at the same time, you can actually lose about half your health in no time. Your character is not particularly strong, especially when you start out, so you gotta be really careful and protective of him towards the beginning. The one complaint I would have, if this is a complaint, perhaps, and I know I just said how awesome I think the soundtrack is, and I'm not saying I don't like it in any way, shape, or form, but it can get a little repetitive because the loops tend to be a bit on the short side, unfortunately. That was a trap. There's actually a little trigger button that you'll see right here, so you want to probably not hit that. But after... Oh, that's kind of bad. The key seems to have gone up into the ceiling. Oh, good. It sucks over to you. Good. But yeah, having gone through a bunch of the levels and then started over a few times because I keep dying, well, that's just sort of how it goes while you're still getting used to things. I did find that the loops of the music tend to happen rather quickly, so, you know, having like an alternate track that might play on occasion, or like a remix track of the main theme of each area might be really good. Just sort of an extra little observation that I had. Not sure if that's something that may happen or not, but would definitely make the soundtrack go a little further too. I just found a jetpack, guys. I have not found a jetpack before. I'm very excited about this. There looks to be a lot that you can find in this, like a ton of different types of artifacts and different things that'll change the way that the game is played. So exploration and discovering treasure, I think, is a huge element in this game, and I think that makes looking around in these levels even more exciting than it already was. Just looking through, you know, for the sake of the level design, I sort of am one to just want to look at this stuff anyway, but knowing that there's pretty drastically different types of artifacts out there really does encourage that style of gameplay. Check out this this enemy here. This is the one I was mentioning that seemed like a shout out to Metroid. Very, very similar to something you can see. And then there's this sort of Pokemon-looking creature, which when you kill it, actually explodes into poison gas. So you want to not walk in the way of that, because that's actually going to do a bunch of damage. I should probably use my jetpack, but I've noticed it seems to have a fuel gauge. And I'm guessing it doesn't refill. Yeah, that seems to be the way things are. Almost Risk of Rain style in that effect, actually. Oh, crap, I thought that was a platform for a second. The thing's so square. Yeah, see how much damage that just did to me? That is crazy. But yeah, this game has a little bit of that Risk of Rain style thing where it's like everything seems slightly disposable. And although things tend to stack up and sort of snowball into giving you a much better shot at living, there's a lot of items that if you aren't careful with how you use them, you might end up just kind of blazing right through them. But I'm hoping to see a lot of different stuff here in my long-term play of this game, which I'm not sure quite to what degree this coverage is going to be, but I'm definitely going to be playing this more than just this video, so we'll see how that manifests. The one suggestion that I kept having cross my mind as I was playing this would be that maybe something along the lines of a little bit more in the permanent progression mechanics might be great. I just sort of kept thinking back to Rogue Legacy, in how every time I would go through a run of that game, I would come back out to the castle and I could just do some one little thing to improve my character in a passive way that would increase my chances of getting further next time. Now, I think this is just not quite that style game. I think it's a little bit more hardcore in that respect and kind of wants you to have a certain level of mastery, which I actually totally think is great and respect. So take all of what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but I think it could also be a lot of fun if there was some sort of an alternate game mode that let you unlock items that maybe you could increase your character's starting stats with, just as sort of like a fun little other way to experience things. But it's also pretty cool that every time you play this, it's going to be a little different. There's enough combinations of rooms and layouts and various types of things to stumble upon that so far in every run I've played, I haven't really felt like too much of it was similar. Although I have run into a couple rooms that were, the same from one to the next. It doesn't seem to happen too frequently. And I think for a long-term play, it's a very positive thing so far. Oh, what happened to that jelly man? He just fell through the floor. That's good for me, actually, because that means he's probably not going to be able to get these jelly shots all around. Let's go grab the key, and I think maybe we'll just make a quick exit. Oh, I can't grab that through the floor. Evidently, this doesn't magnetize to me like some of the other items did, unfortunately. The little things like that gotta be sorted out, I suppose. These are all, optimization balancing issues that'll be worked out in time, and I'm sure even post-launch, I'm sure some of these things might get refined as the developer finds even more stylistic decisions, or maybe stylistic's not the right word, but, specific optimization things that they want to sort out with this. I would love to have this enemy step on this trap. Can we set that up? Can you do that for me, please? What are your desires when it comes to stepping through these sand areas? I don't think you really want to do that at all, do you? You're just going to destroy me with that green blast while I'm stuck in that sand trap. Alright, I guess I kind of deserved that one. I probably shouldn't have gone that way. I think I've got another life or two left, so we'll do our best to see if we can get through one more floor here. Didn't I have the key already? No, I think I already went through that one. Or do I guess I lose the key each time. So you gotta do it all in one go. That's fair. Oh, and we do get to keep our progress at least as far as our power points and XP and stuff, right? I believe our levels carry over. Yeah, they do. So there is some incremental increases. It's just sort of like a micro-level Rogue Legacy in that respect. Let's allocate our stat point to attack again. I just can't help but feel that that's really the only and best option. What is that? Oh, wow, there's a secret monster hidden in the background. And just like that, without even realizing it, I've already taken a ton of damage. What is this? Oh, a deadly bomb. That is not a thing that you want to see come out of a treasure chest. I wonder if there's anything I could have done about that other than just ran away. This is a little bit cheap in my opinion, and you'd think these things you can trust them, and no, I guess it was sort of a mimic in a way. But I do have a little bit of extra in terms of damage now, so that's going to help me out. MP Vial, that is not going to help me out at all. But now that I have this extra attack power, I should be able to just sort of crush through everything as quickly as I can. Let's see, who's got the key today? Somebody's got the key. I don't know if this might just be a personal issue, but I found that it was a little bit confusing wrapping my head around all of the different gameplay conventions all... Oh, come on. Get out of the way. All at the same time while I was trying to also stay alive. I'm not sure if the developer has any intention of putting in a tutorial mode or anything. I'm not sure that it's even necessary, but it was a little confusing having to understand, like, okay, I gotta find the key. I've gotta figure out when I level, why I level, when I get stat points, when I don't. I didn't really realize there was a timer at first. I mean, I guess it's fairly obvious. But they don't give you like a discrete number of seconds that you can be in the level, which, you know, it's fine. I don't even know exactly what happens when you finish the timer out, because it's never actually run out for me. But it has gotten pretty close. I'm going to assume you probably just die, but who knows? Maybe a ghost comes in and chases you around. That could also be a thing. Alright, thank goodness for health drops. I don't really have to kill this thing, but I'm going to anyway. Oh, and it dropped a little bit more health, which is great. I don't think they even really bother you unless you attack them either, so it's kind of another thing you should keep in mind if you're trying to get through an area. Maybe sometimes it's better not to engage anything at all. So I should mention, of course, since I think I'm probably only a few hits away from death here, unless I get particularly lucky and make it out, this game is going to be available sometime in the near future. I don't have an exact date just yet, but we are just trying to get some visibility back on it since it's been in development for so long. May have fallen out of the public eye a little bit, so there is a Greenlight campaign. I would urge you guys, please, for if anything for my sake, go give this thing a vote on Greenlight. I'd really appreciate it. I really want to see this thing get on Steam. Crystal Catacombs is freaking awesome, and you can pre-order it right now as well if you're interested. Again, don't have dates just yet, but certainly would urge it, and there is actually a version that you can get the soundtrack with as well, which seems like the optimal version to get given how sweet it sounds, at least in my opinion. So we're just going to keep looking a little bit further. Watch out for the crazy Pokemon monster! I keep thinking that thing is, like, not going to hurt me. I can't tell if some of these explosions do damage. Oh, that didn't go well. I gotta be a lot more careful if I want to live through this stuff. It's a hardcore game. I appreciate it, though. I think this is going to require a little bit of Spelunky-style trial and error, and then eventually I'll get pretty proficient at it. And I was actually doing a lot better the other night when I was playing. But, you know, the more I play, the better I get. And, well, in general, that's what I'm expecting anyway. And hopefully if I get some really good items, maybe I'll have a sweet run one time that I'll feel extremely OP about. It's quite possible also that I'll just, you know, start getting so good that I don't even need really good items. Joy Boy. Oh, I've had this one before. This is a character you can summon into battle that will essentially just decimate everything on the screen and also give you some drops, too. I should probably just summon that before I get killed, right? Just so you can see what it looks like. I haven't really made any use of the, yeah, he's pretty silly looking. Kind of reminds me of something from a Nintendo game. I haven't really made much use of my jetpack, unfortunately, but there haven't been a lot of situations where I felt it's necessary. So I guess it sort of suffers from a little bit of that too-good-to-use syndrome. I would have really preferred that it was maybe something that would regenerate fuel over time, even if it was very slowly. I kind of hate the fact that, like, you lose it and then it's gone forever. Oh, and before I die, too, I want to show you these slots on the right side here, all of these are for permanent, like, rune upgrades, which is what's telling me there's a very good chance that each time you get one of these drops from one of the bosses, and then you finish one of the sets of 5 levels, it's just going to roll your character onto the next one. So I guess the game would keep getting easier as you go forward. So maybe there's actually, like, an optimal path that you'd want to choose the different biomes through, just like the bosses in a Mega Man game or something like that. So I really like the way that all functions. Oh, and look at that. The slime creature hit the other caterpillar with a little bit of slime, killed it, and then the key dropped. So I guess that's what it is. So we can go back to Stage Selector main menu. I think we're going to wrap up the video, though. I can't tell you how positive my impressions are of Crystal Catacombs. I think you guys should definitely check this one out. It's not available quite yet for play, but like I said, there are some things you can do to help out to make this happen as soon as possible. So I would definitely urge you, go vote on that Greenlight campaign if you don't mind. And also check out the pre-order pages, all the information, the dev site and the Greenlight page. That's all going to be available right in the description of this video. So if you do have any inkling, feel free to go browse around in there. As well as in the description, I'm also going to have all of my social media information. So if you like what I do, if you find this to be interesting and informative, check out some of my other stuff, like my Twitter, my Facebook page, my Twitch page, where I'm very likely going to be streaming some Crystal Catacombs in the very near future. And of course, indie-impressions.com, my website where every single episode of this entire series has gone up and aggregated, and you can search through all the different games, see them in various search methodologies if you're interested in a free game versus paid games, Steam games, Desera games, specific roguelike RPGs, any of that stuff you can search for and see a list of that type of game. So whatever you're into, there's something over there for everybody. But with that, I will leave you all for another day. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do leave some support if you enjoy this series. If you are interested in this game, please do leave some comments as well. I'd love to hear what your impressions are of it based on the video. And just feedback in general for the series or the game is always highly encouraged in the comments. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I do very much look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. New episodes of the series go up every single day, so come on back. If you liked it, consider subscribing to the channel. Totally up to you, though, but I do appreciate anybody that does. So I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a lovely night.